Real estate and higher education are undergoing a shift. More and more families are going out of their way to save a few bucks on tuition by securing property where the academic institution is located. Get that? Well, joining us with more on this latest trend is Kevin Richter, top producing realtor and founder of Richter & Company. Glad to have you back.
Thank you for having me again.
It kind of blows my mind that families would do that they would actually invest in property. And let's just start with purchasing a property in the state where their child is hopefully going to attend college. Like, there's no guarantee in life, right? So where does the savings come from? You know, what kind of an impact does that make?
So I've seen it almost double out-of-state versus in-state tuition. So we get calls all the time. My team and I, we field these buyers who, hey, my kid just got accepted to the College of Charleston and we want to buy a home and we want them to maybe rent out the other rooms because we want to save that money, have an appreciating asset, and let them be there instead of throwing it down the drain for the time that they're in school.
Absolutely. Okay, so you do make a good point, because sometimes you know that your child is going to attend that particular school, but you have to establish a year of residency in South Carolina in order to qualify for that tuition break, right?
Very true, very true. So there's a 12-month seasoning period that is required to get the in-state tuition. And that's not just at the College of Charleston, it's at all universities throughout South Carolina. There's some exceptions, and every university is gonna have their own regulations for what they find to be acceptable.
So the fact that you can save money on tuition versus what you would be spending, because let's say you come in from out of town and you got double the tuition in some cases, then you have to pay for room and board. So this actually kind of solves a couple of problems, right?
Yeah, it does. So I did just a quick synopsis on the market in preparation for this meeting. And the average sales price, we're going to use the College of Charleston as our example. So the average sales price of the homes in the 29401 zip code, in like downtown Charleston proper, was like 1.45 million. So I know, but hear me out. The appreciation is 6% annually, and it's been consistent over the past few years. So if you take that percentage, that's like $85,000, a little bit more than $85,000, and that's compared to like 15 to 30. The savings in just 1 year can pay for 3 years of your tuition when you go to sell that home.
Wow, that is an interesting point. So you're kind of also making up for it on the back end.
Correct, yeah, and I think it not just balances out, but like it turns out to be pretty profitable for those parents who can afford, and not just that 1.45 price point, because that's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
And some families can do it and some can't. And so what I've found is that some people are willing to put some savings and invest in not only themselves, but their children, so that they have that ability to maybe let them rent it out if they leave or they change schools, because we do have a really nice rental market downtown as well. And if you get a big enough place with enough rooms, you can rent out to the friends. You know, there's a lot of really great benefits as well for being local. You get easier access to local community events, and you get more immersed in the culture of Charleston.
That's very true.
Everything's walkable down there.
And also for the parents wanting to come and visit, they don't have to stay at a hotel, they can stay at the residence.
That's the big one. So a lot of these folks want that so that they can come vacay here and go and walk the streets and enjoy the beautiful scene that is Charleston.
Yeah, that is such a good point. The other option is to rent. So technically you could rent, and actually, if I can just be anecdotal here for a second, so when I was going to college myself, this is in another state, of course, but I had a friend that was coming in from another state. They rented an apartment, but she was also getting her prerequisites at a community college in preparation to go to a state school, like a state university. So here they've established the residency in order for her to hopefully get into that college, you know. But then paying rent, what if she didn't get in? Then that's an experience of, you know, a lot of money that you paid in rent without the payoff of getting accepted to the college.
It's a lot of money. Well, and I think anybody getting into real estate knows it's a risk. Whether you're renting or buying, like, you're gonna have some sort of calculated risk, and that's why the market can be really profitable, and that's why it's sometimes not so much. So I think you really roll the dice in some circumstances, but with Charleston, it's a lot safer of a bet than some other places that are coastal. Plus we have like the highest education rate here in the state, here in Charleston. So I think if you do rent, you can hedge some of that risk. However, you can also kiss that money goodbye.
Right, exactly. But and that puts a lot of pressure on your student too, because maybe it's an incentive for them to do well, stick to their studies, work really hard, and try their darndest to get into the college of their choice.
That's a great point, but pressure does make diamonds.
Yes, it does. That's a good one. I love that. Pressure makes diamonds. Fantastic. Well, if anybody wants more information, you're a great guide. Where should they go?
You can find us at lovemycharlestonhome.com. Find me on Instagram. It's Kevin A. Realtor. Or Kevin A. Richter on Instagram. I just changed it.
You did, yeah. Kevin A. Richter.
Kevin A. Richter on Instagram. Kevin Richter on Facebook, Google, Zillow, literally all the places. We're hiring agents right now, so we are looking to grow and expand. We have been the #1 selling team in Charleston for several years in a row.
Congratulations, that's amazing.
Not to brag,
yeah.
my team is awesome, and I love those guys.
No, we'll brag on you too. That's wonderful. Kevin Richter, thank you so much for joining us again.
Great
to have you with us. Yes, we'll be back after this, everyone.